Hey, guys.
Hey,
how's it going?
Romeos.
Woohoo! Well, somebody's doing well today.
Yeah.
It's Romeo Day.
At least one is doing well.
Yeah.
It's
Romeo
Romeo
Day.
Day.
At World Romeo
headquarters.
for retired old men.
Expressing opinions.
Espresso opinions, yes.
That too.
Do people still cringe when you do that, Aki?
What kind of feedback have we been getting?
They
Haven't
fucking
been getting
hate
any
it.
feedback. Crickets.
They fucking hate
so
it.
now they're not. It's worse than cringing. Now they're just they're bailing.
I hear that most.
No, they're not bailing.
I hear that most left-handed people really like you.
I've always heard that my whole life.
He's very left. So guys, thank you for joining. Thank you for coming back. Like, subscribe. We love you. You guys are the fire in our belly. And yeah, and the fire in the afterbelly, which is, when you shit and it hurts.
What?
A good
Where are you going? Cut!
Hey!
Cut!
Wow. Hey, we never cut. We are all uncut. Wow. Or some of us anyway.
Yeah, raw.
Raw dogging it, baby.
Okay.
Okay, what are we talking about? I don't know what I'm doing.
Like us and subscribe.
Oh, yes.
There
thank you.
Oh, we got to find him a therapist.
Bunch of fuckers.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Topic for today.
Yes. I'm punch drunk.
Well, one option is getting Nuran some much needed help.
Yeah.
Right.
Or alternatively, do you guys find traveling enjoyable?
Absolutely.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. Yeah, you're right. I guess it depends, right?
Getting there. Once you're there, it's okay.
Depends where there is.
Getting there.
Well, we could do a whole podcast on air travel.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good subject.
Yeah.
Is it just air travel? Okay, so let's tackle it.
Yeah.
Aki, since you were so enthusiastic,
Absolutely.
why don't you get us started?
Absolutely. It's a part of a well-rounded existence to travel and see the world and if you're a history person, be able to go to some of these sites, whether it be in Asia, whether it be in the Mediterranean, the sites of civilization.
Holy shit, I agree with Aki.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So absolutely, I love it. With one major exception, I think air service and airlines are horrible. But
there's a reason for that.
There's a reason, and it shouldn't be in this century. At this point in time, we've progressed in so many other sectors. We can't do a better job, with airline service. That's a whole other discussion. So put that aside. But yes, traveling, absolutely. It's a cornerstone of my development as a person, of the quality of life that I get to enjoy. So I'm a big booster for traveling.
So in other words, you enjoy yourself. You find the experience enjoyable once you reach your destination.
But you hate the actual travel part.
I hate the actual travel part.
May I just throw out something for everyone?
You may.
We have gotten the air travel that we've asked for, is my point of view on that one. I know we're not talking about air travel, but I'll throw that in there because essentially the airlines are doing what we want them to do, which is lower prices. And in order to lower prices, we get the shit that we got, which is, cheap seats, but now you got to pay for everything else, no room, all that other stuff. So yeah, we got what we asked for. We got cheap travel. You can go to Europe for under $1,000.
What happened to the customer service experience as part of their calculation, part of their strategy, as any company?
Aki, come on. People have time and time again voted with their wallets and said, no, I would rather have a ticket to Europe for $700 with shitty service and suffer through 6 hours or 7 hours of sitting in a cramped seat from the East Coast to Europe, rather than having to pay $1,500 or $1,800 for the same ticket.
Okay, so there's no floor to this, Naran. So how far down can the airlines go?
We get what we've asked for.
Guys, hold on,
we want service for our money.
Guy,
well, no,
you can get better service.
You want service for your money, but what level of service are you prepared to pay for is the question.
A reasonable level.
So one of the things I would ask, based on Nuran's comments, is whether people who fly first class or business class have a different view of the enjoyment of flying.
Absolutely. So if you want to pay for premium economy or business class to Europe, you're going to be paying, let's say if you get a cheap economy class ticket for $800, $900, $1,000, premium economy, it'll be like $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 for the same ticket. And business might be $3,000 to $5,000, depending on where and so on. Okay. So if you're willing to pay that money, you're going to get a better flight experience.
So what would happen? I mean, here's something. What would happen?
No, you're going to get a better in-flight experience.
Correct.
You're not going to get a better flight experience.
No, you get the same turbulence.
You still have to deal with all the bullshit at the airport.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you may be able to cut through some lines a little more quickly and so on, but generally speaking, you're going to have to put up with all the bullshit. Your in-flight experience. So for the 6, 7, 8 hours you're going to be on the flight,
will be much better.
It'll be better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying. You mean to tell me there's no market opportunity here for an airline that can figure this out? Where for $700, $800 for airfare to go from, let's say, from our home city Montreal to London, UK. You can't travel with some sort of just normal level of comfort. That's so out of this world.
It's a race to the bottom. That's the reality of people. Yeah. And by the way, so they've democratized, and you'll like that word, they've democratized travel in the sense that a lot more people can now afford it. But I think the downside of that, and guys, maybe we can talk about this, is because travel is so cheap. And by the way, in Europe, to fly anywhere in Europe is ridiculously cheap. I'm talking about 30, 40, 50 euro flights from Ryanair, from Vueling, from EasyJet. You got these low-cost options. I flew from Milan to Menorca direct, and it cost me 20 euro. And I paid extra to get a seat. It cost me maybe 25 or 28 euro to actually get a one-way ticket from Milan to Menorca. It's a 2-hour flight.
Did you have any check-in baggage?
No, I always carry carry-on, and my carry-ons are pretty small. I don't like to travel
heavy. You're in a bit of a different situation in that when you travel from North America to Europe,
I take a backpack.
Right.
I don't.
Which is not true of most people.
Yeah, but they can. That's a choice. Listen, you have a choice. You can travel light. You can pick up what you need when you get there, and you can enjoy the travel a lot more. Or you can have like 3 pieces of luggage with you and deal with all that.
My point is, even if you have one piece of luggage that happens to be a check-on, it's going to cost you more.
It's going to cost you more. Yeah, it's true, 100%. But all I'm saying is that so let me finish the thought. Like my original thought was this whole democratization of travel and the fact that it's so much cheaper to travel. So now everyone, or a lot more people, in terms of where they fit in the economy, or how much money they make, they can travel to Europe from North America a lot cheaper, and within Europe you can travel for almost nothing. So what does that mean for the type of individual who's now going to descend on a tourist spot like a Rome or a Paris or a Mallorca or any of these places, or Barcelona, where anyone can travel? So anyone from a socioeconomic ladder all the way from the bottom to the top can travel there. What is the type of individual who's now traveling, and what are they doing once they get there? And what does that mean for the locals? I think that's part of the pushback.
I don't think there's a simple answer to the question. I mean, you have people who travel to Europe to go to Euro Disney, just like you have people who go to Asia to go to
Asia Disney.
You have people once they land on the Champs-Élysées who are looking for a McDonald's.
Sacre bleu.
You have all kinds of different profiles.
Yeah, you do. But I'm just saying that I think part of the pushback that we've seen in Europe more recently, in places like Spain and Italy, is that I think, and Mallorca as well, is I think the number of tourists has increased astronomically because it's so much cheaper to travel. And the behavior of the tourists who are now traveling, maybe it's because of the socioeconomic status of some of these people. I'm not sure. I'm not going to get into that, or maybe we can talk about it. But for whatever reason, the people who are traveling and the way they're treating that travel destination once they get there isn't necessarily what the locals want to see. And I think that's not so it goes both ways, right? It's cheaper to travel.
Well, but I think you're raising a good point. However, I will point out that in most of the Western developed world, locals are reacting negatively to everything from tourism to immigration to any outside influence that is impacting their desired quality of life.
Okay.
So I don't think it's unique to travelers.
No, but
I think there are a number of different facets of
you're thinking people are more thin-skinned.
Well, and I think changes in population and population profile, whether it's because of travel or immigration, have an irksome effect on the locals.
Oh, they don't like colorful people.
They don't.
Is that? I don't think it's that. Honestly, I don't think it's that. When you go to Mallorca and you've got all these Brits and Germans descending on this poor little island, and everyone freaking the hell out because they're behaving so badly, getting drunk all the time, walking around half naked, going into restaurants and stuff. It's behavior that the locals don't like.
So
And it ain't about-
stick with the Mallorca example for just a moment.
Okay.
What is the primary economic activity in Mallorca?
Yeah, tourism.
Okay, so you know what?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, there's tourism and there's tourism, right? Like I said, when it's so damn cheap to travel and you get people from a socioeconomic background who feel it's fine to be walking around in a pair of Speedos and drinking, getting day drunk every day and pissing on the streets and all this other stuff, when you get that type of traveler versus someone who's a little bit more sophisticated and who wants to, go to the beach and enjoy themselves, there's a difference, right?
Okay, so Naran, we have to be careful here. You're not suggesting, okay, so the upscale person, the doctor, the professional, automatically will have better manners, will behave better than somebody who might be lower on the lower income scale.
Yeah, on average, yeah.
On average, I'm not sure.
When you want to, okay, so obviously generalizations are always difficult, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't catch everyone. However, on a wider scale, if you look at behaviors in general, and I agree with Dominic on this, and if tell me if you don't, but in general, if you have people who are on a lower socioeconomic ladder, in general, they may, not 100% of the time, but they may be more inclined to be hooliganish, as it were. Like, if you go to a soccer match and you get guys that are throwing things and starting fights.
A lot of those hooligans.
These aren't necessarily doctors and lawyers who are doing this, but they're more often than not factory workers and so on who act out in this way.
There was a whole study done on that. Is that just an aside about the soccer hooliganism
am I wrong?
in the UK?
And
they discovered, that a high percentage of these people were very professional. Were professionals, educated.
Was it
people,
more than 50%?
Which shocked, the
Was it
researchers.
more than 50%?
I don't remember, but it was substantial. It was substantial.
Yeah, but substantial could be 10%.
So
or
look,
15%.
in the absence of some hard data, I think it's difficult to dispute your statement because I think it's a rational statement.
Yeah.
I would question as well the role that age plays in this. So are you more likely to see young people who are disrespectful towards the environment they're visiting?
I don't think so.
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes.
I don't think so. These days, it depends. Like,
So I'll go back to an example. So it's it may not be everybody's idea of travel, but I look at the effort that has gone into cleaning up parts of southern Florida, which was a destination at certain times a year for college students.
Yeah, spring break.
Now, you would occasionally find people who are not of college age in the same establishments as the college kids. But the disruption was largely tied to a group that was relatively young, disrespectful of their environment, there for one reason and one reason only.
Spoiled.
Right? And so the authorities took it upon themselves over a period of many years to kind of
Clean it up.
try and clean it up.
Yeah.
They still have occasional problems, but it's nowhere near to the degree.
Yeah, Daytona
They once
Beach used to be like
had.
madness.
Right. And Fort Lauderdale was madness and so on.
Yeah.
Now I think of some of the great cities of Europe. And having visited several of those, I can say with some degree of confidence that you have a similar pattern where you have people of all ages who are traveling to these destinations. Some are there for reasons that you outlined earlier, Aki, which is to take in some historically significant areas or establishments. There are others who are there just because, you know what, it's on the list of places to visit. They want to have a good time. They're there to party.
And the tickets were cheap.
Inexpensive, so it's affordable.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just going to grab a backpack and travel across Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going to wreak havoc on wherever I go.
Exactly. Stay in hostels. It's whatever, you know.
And today
80
with
euro a
social
night.
media, it's very easy to identify where are other like-minded people
Exactly.
meeting.
Yeah.
And they convene, and the locals react negatively to that
Flash
to a
mob.
large extent. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're right with the social media. So you're right. So I'll have to rethink that. I was thinking of older people who are you know, who are causing some of this ruckus.
Some are.
But you're right. Yeah, you know what? I like to think of the youth as being better these days than we were, but it's not necessarily true.
Well, youth
have hope.
is youth. There's always, within youth, you'll find a
Spectrum.
large, well, a wide spectrum, but you'll find a large proportion of youth who tend to be more rebellious, who are anti-establishment. It just goes with the territory.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they necessarily remain that way,
Yeah, you're right.
right? But it's part of the profile.
Yeah.
Look, there's the golden age of travel. When was that? Late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah, when people wore suits to get into
Yeah,
planes.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was only for the people that could afford it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, now, yeah, you're right. The democratizing it has ruined it, I think. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah, but so what are you guys saying? Are you guys saying now that
Yeah, no, we don't want riffraff on airplanes.
you don't want riffraff on airplanes?
You don't want the Karen that wants your seat because their kid wants to sit next to a window.
Exactly,
And it's like, you know, can you give up your seat? And it's like, nah.
Yeah, but that has got nothing to do about whether they are rich or not. You know, there's a lot of rich Karens, you know. So,
Well, generally, I mean, again, we've had conversations before about what constitutes rich.
yeah. Well-
Generally, the wealthy people are not traveling in economy.
Yeah, you're right.
Generally, there
That's
are
good.
exceptions, but
Yeah.
generally not.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're creating havoc at the front
Yeah.
of the
You're
aircraft,
right. Yeah.
not where the masses are.
But yeah. Yeah, I think, I think
We've talked about air travel quite a bit as part of this conversation. I haven't been on a cruise because I'm not interested or haven't been interested. I don't know if you guys have any experiences or
No.
thoughts pertaining to
No.
cruise.
I have.
I'm not interested.
Okay,
in-
so
It
Wayne,
was a really good experience.
Yeah, but this
for you or for
Yeah,
the
but-
other people
but
who are
this
on the ship?
yeah, but this is in the Mediterranean. It's not the usual cruises like from
Well, they're very popular. We all know most of the people that we know,
Yeah, but-
right, have done cruises, and they swear by them.
My brother's done multiple cruises and he loves them.
There you
Or
go.
He
There
really
you go.
enjoyed
Yeah,
them.
There you go.
So-
I'm not.
Are those YouTube cruises?
Yeah.
No, real cruises. Back in the day.
Real cruises.
Back in the day.
Okay.
Back in the day.
A legitimate question.
I don't get it about going on a cruise with 4,000 other people. You know, it's to me is something I just can't wrap my head around it.
Oh,
But even cruises, like one of the big knocks on cruises is, when it comes to the food. I mean, the food is so readily available, all these buffets, and people just overdo it. So these are like you would think.
yeah.
I
But
don't
for
know.
7 days, you feed yourself till you can't.
No,
more.
but you-
How is that different from an all-inclusive resort?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, at least an all-inclusive resort, there's a way out.
Yeah,
You can walk more.
Not always safe.
I guess, guys, I don't know.
Yeah.
The issue is that people are just behave badly, regardless of social class. We are now we have too many people that just behave badly.
Why? So
they
why
don't
do
have
you-
the maturity.
why
They
do
don't
you
have the
think that is?
restraint.
It's not just a maturity question.
So I don't know what the answer is, but you can't
People
regulate
are animals.
this.
People are
You
animals.
can't regulate this. I mean, it's good. I mean, we
So
want,
you don't like people, Aki? Is that what you're saying?
no, no, Rand. I like people who have class and who are reasonable.
What does that mean?
It means
So
people
you're-
who have manners.
So
Fundamentally,
socioeconomic.
it means
So
people
you
that have
like
manners.
people like yourself,
Yeah, absolutely. I like people that have manners. Totally.
and you discriminate against those who are different from you.
No. Nice try dressing this up into something else. Nice try there,
Vous êtes
maestro.
raciste.
Manners. Manners have nothing to do with class.
So don't you
manners.
think that there's less respect
in general.
in general
Yes,
today in
that's
society?
what
Oh,
I'm
of
saying.
course.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's definitely a lack of respect, and it's sad that people don't have common sense and common
Manners.
respect and manners for other people.
Just manners. What happened to manners?
So when you consider those traits or attributes, and you combine them with alcohol consumption.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go.
Open bar, baby.
There you go.
That's a toxic combo, isn't
Yeah.
it?
You know what?
That's a cruise.
There shouldn't be.
That's a grenade.
There shouldn't be any alcohol on airplanes.
There should not be.
No, there should not be. Nothing good comes out of
So,
alcohol consumption.
so
I
what
agree.
what business are the airlines in?
yeah, I know.
Making money.
Right, profit
I
maximization.
know.
Yep.
So they will
Yeah.
continue to serve alcohol.
I know.
Yep.
Except
And they'll make the comment: it is forbidden to drink alcohol that you brought on board yourself, right? So they want to sell you the alcohol,
Yeah.
but they're okay with you having alcohol, and they may or may not decide to stop serving you after a certain amount, but that's to their discretion, and they'll
Well,
make
if you're
money on it.
if you're a happy drunk, there'll be no limits.
Yeah, exactly. They'll just
If
keep
you become a disruptive drunk, then they will try and cut you
So
off.
going
Correct.
back to airlines, so
Correct.
is there a difference between the airline service that we're accustomed to here versus the quality of airline service in Europe? And I'm looking at you because you've recently traveled in Europe.
well, it's no frills. So
Okay, but is it at least an example? The food on an airplane in Europe, is it the better quality than what you get on
you
a
don't-
North American airline?
well, you don't need food.
it's a 2-hour flight anywhere in
exactly.
Europe.
I'm just the whole
So-
package. The whole package. All I'm saying is there's a whole package here that we agree. I think that the North American airlines fall short in terms of customer service on a whole host
Well,
of
it's because,
things.
for example, if you take Cathay Pacific or
Yeah, some of the Asian
yeah,
airlines,
those are expensive tickets.
Exactly.
But the service is
but the same is true of certain Middle Eastern airlines.
That's
exactly.
it. Exactly. You take Emirates or something. I
Emirates,
mean,
yeah.
if you, again, it's all commensurate with how much you're paying.
Exactly.
If you're going to pay, you're going to get service.
Exactly.
If you buy a European ticket for $500-600 or $700,
Yeah.
don't expect a whole hell of a lot of service.
But you'll probably get it's basic like a
Yeah, you'll
superior
get a meal.
basic service that you do in North America. I think it's a
when
North
you're
American
flying,
it's
issue.
a
no,
short-
when you're
no,
flying
short-
overseas is different because when you're flying overseas, they'll give you alcohol for free. They'll give you your wine. They'll serve you a meal and you don't have to pay for it. When you're in North America, if I'm going to fly 6 hours from Montreal to London is the same hours as Montreal to San Francisco. When you fly Montreal to San Francisco, you don't get a meal, you don't get a drink. You can pay for it and buy a drink on Air Canada. I'll give that. I fly Air Canada both ways. When you fly overseas Air Canada, you'll get wine, beer, whatever you want. You'll get a meal, you'll get a snack.
You're not going to get a wine in economy class.
Yeah, of course you are. It's all free.
So I'm going to
Yes.
take it. I'm
I
going to
don't
take a
remember
step
that.
further. I'm going to take.
I
it
can
as-
tell you for a fact
Yeah.
On Air
that when you
Canada?
fly international on Air Canada, all of the drink
overseas.
overseas
On
you're gonna-
in economy class.
yes,
Sorry.
in
Yes,
economy
yes,
class. Yes,
yes.
100%.
Not my recollection, but-
no, I've done it dozens of times. And trust me on that one. It's a fact. So yes, if you fly international, you will get free meals and so on. But if you fly domestic or U.S. in North America, it's a whole other service. By the way, the ticket to go to Europe is sometimes cheaper or oftentimes cheaper because there's actually
It's a competitive issue, pure
Exactly.
and simple. So I'll give you a much simpler example. If you fly Toronto Montreal, it's a 1-hour flight.
Yep.
If you fly to or from Pearson Airport in Toronto, you get nothing.
Yeah.
If you fly to Billy Bishop Island, you will get service. You will get wine, you will get chocolate, you will get
Really?
beverages. Yes. And do you know why Air Canada will offer you that?
Because they have competition.
Yes, because Porter Airlines flies the same route and decides to offer a higher level of service.
There you go.
Right?
So it's all about
pure and simple,
competition.
it's all about the competition.
Yeah.
It's been years in the US that the airlines stopped providing free services.
Yeah.
To them, it's like, well, you pay as you go. So if you want a certain level of service, you pay for it, whether it's the type of seat, whether it's selecting a seat before boarding the flight.
Yeah. It's a race to the bottom.
If it's wanting to have some food or beverages, you will pay.
What about another element? All these incidents with aircrafts lately.
Boeing aircrafts.
Well,
It's all been Boeing.
Well,
so
it's
far.
Boeing.
yeah, Boeing. Yeah. So does
Pronounced
does
Boeing.
that make it less, obviously, less enjoyable because you're wondering every time you board a Boeing. In this
No,
case.
you can't.
Well,
I
you know,
know.
unfortunately, those incidents happen to be tragic, they have tragic consequences, but you still have a higher likelihood of getting into a serious or fatal car accident than you do an airline
Or a bathtub
related
accident.
My point is, I think that people don't care about their jobs or about doing a good job.
The airline and the
In
aircraft
general-
manufacturers.
In general. So like the maintenance, maybe a maintenance guy sees something and he doesn't care.
Well, no, there've been whistleblowers in Boeing that say that it's management kind of mindset to push people to get the
hold on,
airplane or aircraft out.
maintenance is an airline issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The build quality
Manufacturing.
is a manufacturing issue.
Yeah.
But I wonder, in terms of the maintenance, that people generally don't care about their jobs or doing a good job anymore.
Well, I think recently the problem hasn't been maintenance; it's been manufacturing.
You wonder because
when a door flies out.
Well,
or something.
most of the issues that we're aware of
yeah,
are tied to build quality.
Yeah.
yeah. But you wonder sometimes, that even though it's a build quality thing, somebody noticed something while doing maintenance and they don't say anything or they don't.
But does it affect like people's travel intentions? I don't think so. It's,
I don't know. I
For
wonder.
short periods of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People have
And
short
it
memories.
passes.
Yeah, of course.
People
it
are still
does.
flocking to get on those
Guys,
planes and travel.
right this moment, there's like thousands of planes in the air right now
Yeah.
around the world. Right this moment.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Oh, yeah.
Every
Yeah.
day.
It's still, yeah.
So
Well, air travel continues to grow as a mode, as a means of transportation.
and how often do you hear, okay, every once in a blue moon, you're going to hear, okay, some tragedy. And of course it's a tragedy because when a plane comes down, it's going to kill pretty much everyone except for that one lucky guy last time. But, and he was in row 11, by the way, 11A, I think.
Yeah, 11A.
So my daughter's birthday.
There's a significant premium now associated
Yeah,
with picking that seat, selecting that seat.
Well, not surprised, exactly.
Yeah. So, but to Pat's point, for a couple of days, everyone's kind of jittery or
Yeah, oh,
whatever.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
life goes on, and there's thousands of planes in the air right now, and they're all going to get to their destination, and they're all going to land safely, and so on.
Right.
So it's not a dangerous mode of transportation.
What about traveling by train? Again, limited options
in North America?
Limited options in North America, but it's a popular means of travel in Europe and elsewhere.
Yeah, because they actually
Asia.
have decent trains with decent
Well,
speeds.
because they have density of population to be able to afford that. Here in Canada, it's a joke. But I've taken the high-speed train between Barcelona and Madrid. It was amazing. Like you're on a cloud.
Yeah, I went from Paris to Belgium to I think it was Brussels, or was it? Yeah, I think it was Brussels. Amazing. It's just and it's relaxing and the service is there. You've got you can work. The seats are amazing. You got plenty of room.
Yeah. So once you have that option, I would think that it becomes for many people much more desirable than air travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's because you usually go downtown to downtown, so you don't have to worry about taking a cab or.
But everything from the pre-boarding experience
Yeah.
Yeah, the security, all that
right,
stuff.
to the service level when in flight versus we're on board, versus the arrival, retrieval of luggage, getting to your destination.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but guys, what we're saying is, so air travel, is
Sucks.
air travel sucks. I mean, that's a problem. But once you get to your destination, I mean, as travelers, isn't that usually like a good experience?
It depends where you go and when. Because if you go to Mallorca in the summer, in July or August, or you go to Barcelona, or you go anywhere in Europe,
Crowds-
Rome, Paris,
So crowds have become an issue
Yeah.
in many.
Yeah.
because
desirable
everyone can travel.
destinations.
In Europe, especially, it costs you nothing. It costs
So
you.
what you're describing in Mallorca, I would think you go to any of the popular Greek islands.
Oh, absolutely.
Or you go to the major European cities.
Yeah.
Could be Paris, could be London.
Yeah.
Pick one.
Yeah.
You have a similar trend.
Exactly. It's like they get everyone descends on these places, and again, human nature kicks in. And yeah, you'll have nice, respectful tourists who are there for the museums and whatever, and for the history. I'm sure every city would love to have 100% of those tourists, but that's not what you get. You get what you get. So you get guys that just want to get drunk and wasted the whole time because that's their idea of a vacation. They just want to feel numb and whatever, and they treat their surroundings.
Well, and,
like
and
that.
people who have a sense of entitlement.
Oh, there's a lot of that.
So, you'll have people who aren't drunk, who will stand in line, to visit
European
St.
Carinas.
Peter's Basilica, and they can be very disruptive because they have a sense of entitlement,
Yeah, exactly.
and their experience is not matching the expectation.
But by the way, Aki, to get back to your point, people traveling economy travel sucks. The people who are traveling in business, like I know a couple, they travel strictly business. And what they do is they FedEx their suitcases to the hotel.
Okay, that's big money.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right, but that's
They FedEx. So,
Right.
so they go. So they don't have to worry about check-in.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about,
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's others. But it's an endless list of problems, even for those people. I hear also. I get your point. But people, who travel, business, they'll always complain about, the way that the airlines manage, the points, for example, if they want to use their points to get to a destination.
But those
It's
are-
always jumping through
Yeah, no,
hoops.
but I'm talking about physical travel.
So to Pat's point, okay, you're physically in the airplane, and for the 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever that you're in the air, you'll have a better experience. And you'll
Yes.
have better
Yes.
level of service.
Yes.
But the rest of it, going through security, whatever, yeah, you might be a little bit faster or whatever, but still, there's still going to be crowds. You still have to deal with the
Right.
airport experience.
Right.
So that's fair.
Right.
But when you're on the airline or on the airplane, the more you pay, the better you get.
Yes.
Well, so some people take private flights.
Yeah, if you take private, then
Well, they advertise now. For God's sakes, there's like commercials, which you've never seen before, for private jets.
Yeah.
But for certain destinations, the price is not markedly different from buying a business or first class ticket.
Yeah, it'll be maybe $10,000-$15,000 instead of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000.
Let's
But if
say-
you can afford it,
Yeah. Let's say you're like 4 or 5 couples.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
there's you can look at that, and it's an option.
But we okay.
And you don't have the same experience
Right.
as
Right.
far as going through security
Yeah,
and
that's it.
check-in.
But we're not deterred. We're not discouraged from traveling, are we?
No.
no,
So it's still a pleasant thing to do for most of us.
I still would love.
Well, I wouldn't personally describe the entire experience as
Well,
pleasant because there are unpleasant moments.
yeah.
The air travel for me is
It may not be a
big part of that.
deterrent, but some of the travel trends impact when you might travel
For sure.
or where you might travel when.
Exactly.
So,
Well said.
The issue of Europeans, as far as I can recall in my entire life, have had this 6-week vacation period in the summertime. It's always been there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So July, August is the worst time
with,
ever.
August.
But with population growth, but as a kid, I used to travel to the European cities during the prime of summer.
And it wasn't crazy back
No,
then?
it wasn't crazy.
Now
it was
it's-
fine.
Now
No,
it's
that's 'cause
nuts.
Now it's
Because it's
a
cheaper.
very unpleasant
cheaper.
experience.
Now it's
Yeah.
cheaper, right?
Well, first of all, you have population increase
For
everywhere.
sure. Yeah.
You have a growing number of people who are traveling.
Who can afford to travel?
I think that the disregard or disrespect that we see in society at large is far more prevalent today than it was 30 or 40 years ago, and certainly 2 generations ago.
We
Yeah.
agree.
And there's probably a socioeconomic piece of that.
So you have a number of different issues at play that make travel far less enjoyable. So is it going to deter you from traveling? No, but it's going to possibly impact your travel plans.
Yeah, when and where, like you said.
I think travel is going to become for the privileged, like it was in the 50s and 60s. I think airlines are going to go back to that,
No.
I see the complete opposite.
No, I see the opposite as well.
Yeah.
unless
Cat's out of the bag.
What if, let's say, they can come up with an airplane that can do Canada, Europe in 4 hours? What's that going to do to travel? Is that going to increase how many people, the amount of people that
Well,
can
no,
travel?
they're going to charge more for that.
Those
That's
Those
what I
who can
mean.
afford it.
who are today
Exactly.
flying first class will look at that as an option.
Yeah, but all the rest that were getting $600 tickets
so-
will still do that too.
So that means those airlines are going to be just first class airlines.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to have competition that's going to bring down the price of those tickets as well as the technology gets
No,
established.
no. When you get into like hypersonic travel and so on, or just like no, it's. I think we're going to see a growing number of high-speed trains
To Europe?
within North America.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, it will.
Not in Canada.
It will. It will. It's not going to cover the entire country. It's going to cover the corridors that are most profitable for businesses.
No, the lobbyists will stop that. What do you think? We don't have one from Montreal to Toronto?
It'll come.
Because
We've been saying that for 50 years.
because we have
It'll
three,
come.
50 years, man. It's still not there.
because we have 300
it'll
level
come.
crossings between Montreal and Toronto. And you can't have that with a high-speed train. That's the problem.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the
So what do they do in
There
Europe?
will be
They didn't have-
options. Hyperloop may become an option at some point. You have a number of different possibilities.
that would be a better option.
So I think we're going to
I didn't know
see. I think we're going to see an increase in travel, right? Because you're going to see a drive to make travel, relatively speaking, more and more affordable for people who are today have-nots,
Yeah, that's
and
not
you're going to
good.
see a growing number of options for people of means. So I see an increase.
Yeah, I know. And that's, I don't
Well,
think that's
that
good.
doesn't bode well for the
That's-
destinations.
No, that's not. But that's why Italy is starting to think about charging, visas and limiting the amount of people going there because it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, Spain as well.
Yeah, Spain there.
Spain, they're going nuts.
Spain there, the tourists.
Generally, tourist visas are a nominal amount. It's not going to deter anyone. It's
No, I
just
know,
another
but,
cash
but
grab.
they can increase it. They can increase it to a point.
The problem is also housing. With Airbnb up and around, you're getting a lot of people who are pricing housing out of the reach of the locals. So I go to Menorca. In Menorca, it's not as bad as Mallorca because it's a much quieter, smaller island. But there are a lot of people, a lot of Brits, a lot of French, a lot of Germans who have bought property there because the property was so cheap. You could buy a decent flat for like 250,000 euro in the day. Now it's a little bit more expensive, but it's still very attractive to buy yourself a summer home. Well, when you buy a summer home, you're taking away a flat from a local individual who lives there year round. And what they do is they go and they visit for a month and a half or 2 months during the summer period, and then they rent them out to people like me who are going to then rent them out for the rest of the 10 months of the year that they're not there, so they can get some extra revenue coming from that property. So that property now is going to be used by one or two families from abroad versus providing housing to a local family.
Right, but that's being regulated more and more, so that's being reduced.
It's
in certain jurisdictions,
it's beginning to be looked at is what's happening. But in the meantime, all of the costs. So now imagine if you're a local person living on that island 12 months a year who lives there and they don't make a lot of money because, it's the amount of income that they have is not that great. And they're trying to find housing for themselves and their families.
But here's the thing. And I understand that
So imagine.
any change is disruptive to people's lives.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that if your primary source of economic activity is tourism,
Yeah. You live with it.
you have two options. You live with it, or you become a destitute location. Because if you impose so much regulation for the sake of appeasing the locals, that it becomes an unpopular destination,
You shoot yourself in the foot. Exactly.
You're done.
You have
Yeah,
to
but-
find that balance. Right?
Exactly, and it's doable, for God's sake.
Well, it's doable. It's
doable.
difficult because you're never
it's
going to
very
please
challenging.
anybody. You're
Very
never going to
challenging.
please
so that's where
anybody.
that's where
There's
leadership comes in,
there's
and
a-
that's just where
No, you're
good
not-
economic planning comes
No,
in.
but Aki, you're not going to please everyone. That's
No,
the
you're
You
not.
have
No, of
so
course.
many stakeholders.
Of course.
Look at certain jurisdictions within North America where there are more and more regs being put in place to discourage the use of
Airbnb.
Airbnb and other services.
Or inline in-ground pools.
That's an inside joke.
No, it's an outside joke. Either way you look at it, it's an enclosure.
Yes.
Sorry, Pat.
Yes.
Had to go there.
A Romeo World Headquarters issue, logistics.
My point is that it's not so easy because you have so many stakeholders and you're never going to satisfy them all.
Yeah.
And striking that so-called balance is
Impossible.
beyond delicate. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible. You're always going to have people who are pissed. And that's what we're seeing in Europe right now because the pendulum went, I think, too far to the crowds.
I always think of Florence. Florence, it's gone beyond the point of no return.
Really.
I mean,
In what regard?
well, the number of tourists, the damage that it's doing to the roads, to the buildings, to everything, it's that you'll never get that back. I mean, at some point they're going to have to take or make decisions and say, okay, this is the number of tourists we can have here
Yeah.
a given year, and that's it, because it's just beyond point of no return.
Well, so that too is a delicate proposition, because if the majority of the tourism is European, it's essentially open borders.
yeah, I know.
You're going to curb some of the tourism coming from Asia, North America, South America, perhaps, that have some impact. but-
Those are usually not the problem tourists, especially Asians. Asians are probably the best tourists you can have
You
because
think?
they're super respectful.
You think?
I think so.
No.
You don't think so?
Not the ones we've met in Spain and Italy.
Yeah,
Really?
there's a lot of grumbling.
They're very arrogant. Very arrogant.
Yeah, they want to take these selfies
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't
Very
respect
arrogant.
any boundaries. Apparently, these are
I'm sorry, no,
but
anecdotal.
that I would say that is a fact, that it's cultural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of population density in certain parts of Asia, the concept of respecting someone else's space. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, it's
it's
true.
a foreign
It
concept.
is.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
But again, but instead of just complaining about it, people should understand that it's a cultural phenomenon. That you know, it's not just people having complete disregard for your customs or your sense of entitlement
Well,
or your
it's-
sense of space.
it's not just for the locals. It's also other tourists. They're very,
Yes.
they disrespect other tourists. I mean, that's the experience we've had in Spain and Italy.
I understand. I'm just saying it stems from cultural
Yeah.
differences.
Well, back in the day, they would be the best tourists to have.
Yeah, well, because back in the day, it was only the rich ones.
So look, guys. I mean,
And
Yeah.
socioeconomic stuff
Exactly.
again.
again, okay, but
There
that
we
was
go.
also an elitist world. We don't want to live in an elitist world.
Yeah,
Yes,
we do. We do.
No, we don't. No, we
do.
don't.
We do.
No,
We do.
no, we don't. We
We
want to,
do.
it's
So
good.
for the record, Aki doesn't. Naran and Dominic do.
How about you, Pat?
How about you, Pat?
Not elitist.
Well, you know,
Not elitist.
you know what he means by that.
But no,
Look,
I have more of an issue with people who travel to destinations
and don't behave.
and don't take the time to understand what constitutes acceptable or unacceptable
Exactly.
behavior.
right.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
we were
So you're elitist, in other words.
No.
we were in this town in Sicily, and we sat down, for a quick lunch. And next to us was this French couple.
Mm-hmm.
They brought menus to them, in Italian. It's a little town, They started complaining that the menus were not in
Well,
French.
that's just.
Ma
Are you,
va
sure,
donc
are you
chier.
sure they were from France?
So there you go.
Not Quebec, est-ce que-
It wasn't the Legault family from Quebec?
It could have been, but no, they were French.
Ben tabarnak, là.
No, but there is.
So I explained it to them in French.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
how did they respond to your Quebecois accent?
Well, no, I wasn't. Well, I mean, Quebecois.
Yeah, they look down their noses at
Was a bit of-
but that's.
No.
Yeah. So this is the new public policy. This is a new public policy challenge, and we have to figure it out, and we should be able to figure it out.
Whoa, public policy challenge. What is that?
Well, this is what,
Tourism?
the balance that we're talking about. In order to be able to have tourism that works for everyone, let's deal with some of these bottleneck issues. Why can't we do that?
That's-
But
The moment you say I'm trying to find
everyone. The key word
something
is
that works for everyone.
There's a problem.
yeah, you're done.
No, come on, guys.
Nothing works for everyone.
Like any other endeavor.
The indigenous peoples are going to be upset that
We're
you're
not
using
talking
their
about
land.
Compromise.
like
Compromise.
smoking bans or smoking laws.
Okay.
Right?
Compromise.
You're
I'm ignoring you.
trying to address everyone's needs.
I'm not trying to address. No, but let's arrive at a place of compromise. People are not stupid. People recognize the benefits
people
of
are
tourism.
stupid. Yeah.
Locals recognize and appreciate the benefits of tourism in terms of the contribution to their economy, the jobs
Some
that
do,
are
some
created.
don't.
Some don't.
Well, we have to build on that. We don't just give up
Aki again.
and hide behind stereotypes.
It is fairy tale life.
Things don't work out that way. You're always
Exactly.
going to have outliers and people.
You mean to tell me no major destination right now, a major tourist destination is going in the right direction of finding a right balance? That doesn't exist. Everything is a crisis.
Name a few.
Okay.
I can't name a few. I'm
What's
not
a
an
great
expert,
place
I
to
have
go
to
to
admit.
right now? What do you think? What's a great place to
The
go to?
Maritimes. It's pretty perfect there.
Except for the
I'm
weather.
going to the Maritimes, by the
Nobody
way.
goes
Plug
there.
our Canadian Maritimes. Come up. It's great.
Except for the weather. Gonna freeze your ass out there.
Exactly.
Go in the water. See how soon you turn
Open
blue.
sky, great people, great food,
So
great landscapes.
where in the world? Where in
Now,
the world
I
can you
don't
travel
know.
today, Aki? Where in the world today can you travel, where as the traveler you're going to feel welcome? You're going to feel
Oh,
that
come
your,
on.
your presence is embraced. That people are respectful towards you. They're happy to see you. They treat you with
Well, in that
utmost
case-
consideration.
in that case, it's-
and the locals are actually genuinely enthused that you're visiting
Okay.
their
Montreal.
Look,
home.
now talk about
Are you out of your
now
mind?
you're describing fairy tales. Is that okay?
Well, that's
No, I'm
your
not
world.
describing a fairy tale. I'm asking you to name.
So my last trip, my last trip to Greece last year, it was at the end of August. It was
But you're
September.
Greek, right? You speak the local language,
Okay.
right?
I saw. Okay, I'll give you an example. I will give you a fantastic example. Okay, so we were on the eastern side, on the Ionian side of Greece. The first time we went there, we were on the island of Kefalonia, which is one of the biggest islands in Greece. Okay, with a lot of European regular tourists. So one of the places that we discovered was this wonderful place, by the water, a tavern, a lunch joint, sandwich joint, and it was full of UK retirees. And you could tell because they are regulars there. The staff know them. You saw the friendship between these UK retirees and the local Greek staff. The warmth, it was there. It works well.
So you found a micro.
Kefalonia, again, going back, it's a big island. At the end of August, September.
You found one spot that
they were
seemed,
not-
at peace.
Well, it wasn't overrun. It was just an example of tourism working, at a nice pace where everybody's enjoying their experience, and the locals are very, very welcoming and very warm.
I don't think anyone
So
is
it
saying
can't be just that one place.
I don't think anyone is saying that it doesn't exist. It's just difficult to find the balance that's going to work for locals and for tourists
Yes,
aside.
I agree.
Especially,
I agree. It's hard.
Especially since the amount of tourists are
agree.
ballooning.
I mean,
So
And
imagine
look-
that same place. Imagine that same place with 50% more people that were being rowdy. What would the staff be like?
And it's just a question of time, because if you listen to what Aki just described, you could have made similar comments about a number of Greek islands that are now completely overrun, right? Particularly in the summer months, because word got out that, this is a relatively quiet place.
it's a
And I
nice
can't tell you
place.
how
There
many,
is that.
when we traveled to Greece, how many people told us, these are the islands you should go to because they're not as crowded.
right? Yeah,
Right? It's,
yeah.
And then you find out that, no, that may have been true 10 years ago. It's no longer true.
But you mean, sorry, Dominic, I'm looking at you, but you mean to tell me like cities like Venice and
Okay.
Florence are not taking this on, and they're not able to come up with some sort of
Have you
workable
have you been
solution?
to either one of those in the
Well,
last
I'm
5
asking-
years?
I'm asking- he has.
Venice have done something because of those cruise ships, because they were coming in and flooding, and so now they don't. But in my case, when I go to Italy, I do feel welcome because I am Italian.
Yes.
And I speak the language.
Okay, but around you, in terms of how is the flow?
That's not a good test.
No, but that's it. That's exactly.
That's not a good test.
It's like him going to Greece and him going to Italy
Exactly.
is not a
Yeah.
good.
With the exception of France
Yeah.
and Paris more specifically,
Yeah.
anytime you travel to a country that your ancestors came from and you speak the language,
It's
there's
an
a high
advantage.
likelihood you're going to be welcome.
Oh yeah.
It's an advantage.
Paris being the exception.
Yeah. I totally agree.
They don't like you in Paris?
No, they don't like
They
anyone.
don't like anyone. No.
No,
So no, I told you so. Yeah.
Right?
But it's not a
The true test
Yeah.
is someone who doesn't speak the language.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, we have Spain, but I studied Spain.
But but guys, let's accounting for the fact that you're from there and you speak the language. But our observations in terms of how it was managed and what kind of experience everybody was having when you were there. What was it like?
Well, Florence was horrible. I mean, it's such a beautiful.
Okay, but was it horrible because what, nothing worked and people were having a miserable time?
No, because you see the damage being done to artifacts and buildings, and that's not acceptable. I mean, graffiti on statues.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah. So you can't.
That goes back to respect.
Yeah, exactly. There isn't. There isn't.
That's the problem. So, listen, you can have 1 million people descending on Mallorca or Florence or anywhere, but if 0.5% or 0.05% of those million people are assholes, those are the ones that they're going to remember. And that's the reality. And again, everything is a bit of a, a bit of a curve, right? You get people who are not good travelers and they travel and you can't stop them, and they go someplace and they treat the place like shit, and they leave a bad taste in the mouth for everyone else. So the guy says, I'm from the UK, or I'm from Spain, I'm from wherever, and he acts like an asshole, and then that taints everyone else that comes in who's from the same place, because they say, oh shit, all the guys from, they generalize.
Look, while you can't account for every possibility, such as an encounter with a complete asshole while you're traveling who can ruin your day or your holiday,
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is it's never been easier for individuals to access information so that they can inform themselves
Yeah, but people don't do
before,
that, man.
but they
They
I'm
should.
saying, if you want to dramatically improve your travel experience,
Yeah.
do your homework before traveling.
Yeah. You think everyone does that, though?
No.
No one does.
I'm saying this is what you should do.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because then you will go to whatever destination you choose
Yeah. You'll be informed.
with information and expectations
Yeah.
that may be closer tied to the experience you're going to enjoy.
So everyone who's listening to this podcast, do that. So we got like 60, 70 people to start doing that. I hear crickets. Like and subscribe. Anyway.
No, I think. Look, I think you don't underestimate as well. You know, the professionalism of those locals who understand what tourism means in terms of a business. And yes, you're going to get your assholes, but you're also going to get you're probably there's a net gain overall. Most people appreciate. Most people, it's a good experience. It's not the assholes that are going to sway them and throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Business owners and people who work and whose livelihood is from the services industry of those places will understand the benefit of tourists and will put up with a lot because they understand that that's what's feeding them and their families. But you're also going to have people who aren't in those industries who are fed up because of the behavior of such people, and that's the reality. And that's the trick of the local governments, who have to figure out how to keep both sides at bay and at peace with each other, because one wants the tourists because that's how they make their living, and the other one hates the tourists because it ruins their freaking lives.
Yeah,
and they can't.
And I think there are regions of the world that have been more greatly affected. Europe, we talked a lot about Western Europe.
Yeah.
And I think because it's been a destination for all of us, either regularly or irregularly over the course of the past number of years, they've been hard hit. I don't think it's a coincidence that the more unpleasant travel experiences coincide with a dramatic increase in immigration. And the same is true in parts of North America.
What do you mean by that?
That you've had an influx of immigrants that have caused the locals to develop more biases, greater level of intolerance for things that are different, population density issues, and so on.
Migrants more than immigrants.
And when you, on top of that, have to deal with growing number of vacationers during periods of the year, it just aggravates the situation in the minds of the locals. So I think it's become a greater, because we're talking specifically about travel, but I think that the travel experience has been greatly impacted by immigration trends in Western Europe and in North America.
there's a new reflex to your point.
I don't see the connection. I'm having a tough time seeing that connection.
Well, I think he means that it's an additional component. Don't you find?
I don't know. I don't see it. You maybe think of it as an extra stressor in terms of the society, but
it's not so much a stress. It's a dissatisfier is what it is, right? You have people who are seeing their communities changing profiles in front of their very eyes, and they don't like it. Yeah. They feel this is no longer. It doesn't feel like my home like it used to feel, and I don't like it. I don't like that trend.
Yeah.
Is what's going through people's minds.
Yeah, but like when it comes to tourism, that's been happening for the past 50 years. It's been increasing or slowly increasing for the last, let's say, 30 years.
There's a lot more noise today, say in the last 10 years than we've experienced at any time prior.
To me, I think the bigger disruptor is Airbnb. I think that I think makes every local pissed because of the housing issue that it translates to. I think that might be more
And I think
more of an issue.
well, you're not that far apart. I think the Airbnb and the issue you're describing feeds on these, perceptions that the locals have about feeling overrun, feeling overwhelmed.
Maybe okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's no different because, Airbnb is really a more severe issue if it's foreign money that is coming in to buy the properties. And because they're vacant for long periods during the year, they get rented out.
Yeah. And that's their business model.
Yeah.
It's not because there's an increase in the local population that is organic.
Mm-hmm.
And where people are saying, well, we didn't do a good job anticipating the population growth, and therefore we don't have enough housing to accommodate the kids who become adults and want their own places. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the world today where you have a housing crisis, it is in part due to the fact that you have an influx of people who are not local, who don't,
Immigration.
right? It's not organic growth. it's
Migration.
immigration.
It's not immigration.
Well, there is no organic growth. Most countries don't have enough population growth in with their birth rates to have organic growth. So it is about immigration. You're right. You're right on that sense. Yeah. Yeah. The other issue, or one of the ways actually that's been addressed in Menorca, for example, is that the government does not allow or issues certificates to certain homes that allow it to be rented year round. Most homes do not have that certificate. So you cannot rent out most homes on that island for July and August, which is the high season. Mm-hmm. So it makes it economically economically disadvantages anyone from buying that property in order to rent it out, because the 2 months where you would make most of your money is not allowed. Now, people try and still do it, but if they get caught, it's heavy fines.
Well, the other trend that is growing in popularity, and I would say worldwide today, is increasingly discouraging short-term rentals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in Florida now, it's like minimum 3 months.
So there you
Many
go.
places.
There's the public policy examples that I was talking about. Solutions that
Holy
that,
shit,
that-
Aki was right.
solutions that local authorities are trying to put in place
but
in order to come to terms.
It doesn't
with
have
this.
to be local authorities. In some cases, it is
Right,
local
but I mean,
authorities. In other cases,
those are initiatives
It's
that-
homeowner or condo
Yeah, exactly.
association.
Right. But
They
it-
don't need
I agree with
outside
Aki on
intervention.
But that's intervention. That's
Namaste.
Power to the people, baby. He's right. That's exactly what happened in Menorca. The government's figured it out.
Yeah.
My head's spinning.
All right. Well, because your head is spinning, we're going to have to bring this conversation to a close. Final thoughts?
democratizing travel hasn't been good
For who? For you.
for everybody.
For the DeLuca family.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No.
for the cities and everything, it's just, I think at some point, things have to change. Or else.
So I'm going to offer a different point of view. I look at one of my daughters who's a travel buff, and the fact that travel has become so affordable has allowed her on a budget
Oh, yeah.
to see regions of the world that at her age, I don't think I would have had the opportunity to see.
Wonderful.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So for the right motivations and for the right people, I think it's the most amazing thing that's ever happened, the democratization that we're talking about. I love to travel. I love to spend 3, 4, 5 months of the year, if I could, away from here, and in different places around the world. And I think it's a blessing that we have the opportunity. I just wish that people wouldn't be so damn human in the way that they behave, and that we as a species could kind of elevate ourselves to just be better people. Don't throw garbage on the street. Don't behave like louts. Don't drink to the point where you're an asshole. All of those things. If we could all just do that and be better people, I think the whole world would be a better place. Ain't going to happen, unfortunately, and I kind of agree with Dominic that there's going to be pushback, and we'll see where it goes, but Yeah, I still love to travel.
Exactly. I love to travel as well. And I just want to point out tourism and what we're talking about, it's like in any other service industry. You can't let, the 5% shit ruin it, ruin the whole potential, of this, very positive activity by people and making the world, a bit smaller. That's a wonderful thing. And I think we should not let the 5% ruin it.
All right.
Once
And
again, I agree with Aki. What the fuck is going
Yeah, so
on?
I look forward to Aki finding a solution to the travel-related issues, and we can all then thank him
Namaste.
for having made it a better experience for all travelers and the locals who are today cringing at the thought of
Yep.
their home
And-
being invaded.
Subscribe to the Adonis newsletter.
On that note, Aki,
On that note,
It's gonna
what
be
would you like to say to our viewers and listeners?
Please watch us, send us your comments, and subscribe.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And guys, thanks for the conversation. We'll look forward to
guys.
doing it again next week.
See you on the beach.
Ciao.
Bye.